Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're tackling something pretty fascinating. It's this intersection, maybe unexpected, between folklore and, well, federal bureaucracy.
Bigfoot and the FBI, right?
Exactly. Bigfoot and the FBI. It sounds almost like a movie title.
Huh, it really does.
So our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack what happened there. What does this FBI involvement actually tell us about, public fascination, science, maybe even the limits of government agencies?
Yeah, what were they asked to do?
Precisely. And what did that file, declassified after 40 years, what did it really say about Sasquatch?
It's a great focus because, these legends of big ape-like creatures, they're everywhere, globally. Different cultures have them. But here in the States, especially since the 50s, it's really crystallized around Bigfoot or Sasquatch, this tall, hairy, human-like thing people believe lives out in the forest, particularly the Northwest.
Oh, right. The Pacific Northwest connection is strong.
Yeah.
Very. And there were so many sightings reported, even photos, It really got people seriously asking, is this thing real? It became this whole cultural moment.
That's true. I mean, thinking back to the 70s, Bigfoot was huge. It wasn't just some fringe thing. It was properly mainstream.
Oh, definitely.
Like it was on the $6 Million Man. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that shows you the level it reached. Nowadays, maybe some people think it's, a bit silly.
A bit silly, yeah.
Yeah.
But back then, totally different vibe.
Absolutely.
And there was this key figure, Peter Byrne. He ran the Bigfoot Information Center and exhibition out in the Dalles, Oregon. Tell us about him. Why was he so central to all this?
Byrne was, probably one of the most prominent Bigfoot researchers at the time, a real driving force.
Okay.
And he was a serious believer, especially in that Patterson-Gimlin film from '67, the one that supposedly shows Bigfoot walking.
The famous shaky footage, yeah.
That one. He was absolutely convinced it was authentic. He really thought the creature existed. But there's a catch, isn't there, with some of the earlier stuff?
There is, yeah. It's important context. The thing that really kicked off the modern Bigfoot craze, these huge footprints found back in 1958, those were actually exposed as a hoax much later in 2002. A logger named Ray L. Wallace admitted he made them.
Ah, okay. So the foundational evidence was shaky, to say the least.
You could say that. And many people looking back at the Patterson-Gimlin film now think that was probably just someone in a suit, too.
Yeah.
A prank.
Right. But Byrne, back in the 70s, he was still convinced. And his conviction led him to do something pretty bold.
It did.
He actually contacted the FBI, didn't he? In 1976. What did he send them? What was he hoping for?
He sent them a sample. It was described as about 15 hairs attached to a tiny piece of skin.
Okay. Just hairs and skin.
Yeah. His group couldn't figure out what animal it came from, so he turned to the FBI's labs. He basically asked, can you identify this? And also, have you guys ever looked at suspected Bigfoot hair before?
Wow. That's quite a request to send to the FBI. What's their usual policy on, analyzing mysterious hair samples?
Well, normally they stick to evidence linked to criminal investigations. That's their remit.
Makes sense.
But in this case, someone fairly high up, Assistant Director Jay Cochran Jr., he actually made an exception, a rare one.
Really?
He said they checked their records and couldn't find any prior instances of analyzing supposed Bigfoot hair. But he decided to go ahead with Byrne's request specifically, and he framed it as being in the interest of research and scientific inquiry.
Huh. Scientific inquiry, that's quite a justification.
It is. Definitely not standard procedure for them.
So the FBI takes the sample. What happens next? Did they actually analyze it? How long did it take?
They did. They took it seriously enough to run the analysis. And in early 1977, so, relatively quickly, Cochran sent the results back to Byrne.
And the big reveal.
The conclusion was pretty definitive, scientifically speaking. The letter stated, the hairs are of deer family origin.
Deer? Just deer hair?
Just deer hair. And then, incredibly, this whole file, the Bigfoot file, as it were, it stayed under wraps, classified for 4 decades.
40 years for deer hair.
Yep. It wasn't declassified until June 5th, 2019. You almost have to chuckle picturing that official FBI file labeled Bigfoot, right?
It is pretty amusing. But, okay, let's be clear. The FBI analyzing hair doesn't mean they were validated the idea of Bigfoot, does it?
No, absolutely not. That's a crucial point. It's not an endorsement. It's kind of like, when the military investigates UFOs or UAPs. Investigating weird lights doesn't mean they're confirming aliens exist.
To parallel.
They're just looking at the data presented. In this case, the FBI was essentially doing a favor for Byrne, analyzing a sample he sent in. They weren't outfitting agents with night vision goggles to hunt for Sasquatch in the woods.
Right. But you can see how some people might misinterpret that, can't you? Like, oh, the FBI has a Bigfoot file, it must be real.
Oh, easily. For believers looking for any official acknowledgement, seeing FBI and Bigfoot in the same sentence could seem like, a smoking gun, even if the finding itself was mundane.
It shows how easily things get twisted. Okay, so that brings us to maybe the weirdest part of this story.
Okay.
When that file was finally declassified in 2019, Peter Byrne himself, who was 93 by then,
Still around, yeah.
he reacted like he'd never heard the result before. Like, the deer hair finding was news to him. How is that possible? What happened back in '77?
It's a bit confusing, right? But it seems what happened was, back when Cochrane sent the results letter in 1977, Byrne was actually out of the country for several months.
Yeah.
So Cochrane sent the letter not directly to Byrne, but to an executive at the Academy of Applied Science, which was linked to Byrne's Bigfoot organization.
I see.
And that executive actually wrote back to the FBI confirming receipt and saying they'd give Byrne copies when he got back.
So the message was delivered to his organization. Someone knew.
Someone definitely knew and intended to pass it on.
So why would Byrne, decades later, seem surprised? Or maybe, why would he not remember getting that rather significant answer from the FBI about his prize sample?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It really makes you think about, how memory works, or maybe how we process information that doesn't fit our beliefs. Was it just genuinely forgotten over 40 years? Or was it perhaps a bit inconvenient? I mean, think about it. If you make a big deal about sending a mystery sample to the FBI,
Yeah.
you might not be super keen to shout from the rooftops that it just turned out to be deer hair. Especially if your whole public identity is built around the mystery. It kind of punctures the balloon, doesn't it?
It really does. It speaks volumes about maybe wanting to preserve the mystery or just the psychology of belief itself.
Exactly, the persistence of belief, even when the science points elsewhere.
Wow. What a fascinating journey.
Yeah.
We went from this enduring legend, a 70s pop culture icon, all the way to a formal FBI lab analysis.
Only to land on deer hair.
Only to land on deer hair.
Yep.
A very clear, maybe slightly anticlimactic answer from the evidence itself.
But, looking at this specific kind of quirky inquiry, it does reveal something broader.
What's that?
It shows how even official bodies, government agencies, sometimes get drawn into engaging with topics usually relegated to folklore or the fringe, under specific unusual circumstances anyway. And it really leaves a question for you, the listener, doesn't it? When officialdom touches on things like folklore or urban legends, how do we interpret that? What weight do we give it?
And what does the whole episode tell us about how strongly people hold on to beliefs, sometimes even when confronted with, scientific facts like deer DNA?
Precisely. It's about the persistence of mystery, perhaps.
A lot to think about there. Well, we hope this deep dive into the strange case of the FBI's Bigfoot file has piqued your interest.
Hope so, too.
Thanks for joining us. And please keep exploring the world around you with that same sense of curiosity.